This video is brought to you by these YouTube members. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. It's also brought to you by the end of the year top 10 list, the top 10 characters of 2020. Click the link in the description below to vote for your top 10 characters to make this list as accurate as possible. Thank you guys in advance. Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 Byakuyas on Bleach Brave Souls. Byakuya is a lot of people's favorite captain, and who can blame them? He's the first captain in the series we saw, and the first major antagonist. He's also the captain with the second most variants in the game, after Toshiro, so I figured it was time for a top 10.
その目に強く刻むがよい。挽回。千本桜影吉。
Now I decided to put Frenzy Byakuya at number 10. Admittedly, the other 3 Byakuya who are not going to make it on this list are better than him, but the reason I decided to put him at number 10 was because of his utility as a link. Now Byakuya has a history of being kind of a guinea pig for the game. A lot of new mechanics in the game they gave to Byakuya first, and that includes being a Frenzy character. He was the first character in the game to have 2 links, and they gave him the best ones for a strong attack character, since it's a strong attack damage and strong attack recharge link. And since he's a Frenzy character, it'll only take any new player 5 months to get him at 5 out of 5, and it's completely free too. Now OG Byakuya, New Year's Byakuya, and Swimsuit Byakuya are all better than this one, but players definitely get the most use out of this Byakuya, since he's an easily attainable and very useful link, and for that reason I put him at number 10.
千景千本桜影吉
Next up, we have the original Speed Byakuya, who was the first ever character with the Vortex move. Now, this Byakuya actually got a major upgrade when he got resurrected, and that he now has Frenzy, meaning that his Vortex move Strong Attack 2 now hits a ridiculous number of times, and it's excellent for racking up the combo, allowing you to deal more damage. It's also really useful for his Strong Attack 3 since it's a 150 mag Strong Attack 3. To put that in perspective, most characters' Strong Attacks only have a 120 mag. Now, because he does have a Strong Attack 2 that's a Vortex move, you are going to use his normal attacks quite a bit. Luckily, he has a normal attack damage link at 20% and Bruiser at 20%, giving him a total increase of 40% on his normal attacks. This isn't bad, but it does mean you're gonna have to split up the accessories and links to accommodate both his normal attacks and his strong attacks, since by themselves, they don't work that well. I mean, his strong attack 2 does take 24 seconds to recharge, just like his strong attack 3, so it's not like you could spam his strong attacks anyway. In the end, this character is lacking in range, and he's not gonna win any awards for speed. He's definitely not the best Byakuya, but he is better than Frenzy Byakuya and the other 3 that didn't make it.
私を捕らえることはできん。終わりだ。
Now next up we have the Lost Asian version of Byakuya, a character that I desperately wish was better. That's not to say he's terrible, but they definitely could have done better. He doesn't really excel in attack or SP. He's got a 60% bruiser as well as a 16% normal attack damage link, and a 40% berserker and strong attack damage link of 25%. So basically 76% up on normal attacks and 65% up on strong attacks. If I had to pick, I'd actually call him a normal attack character before I'd call him a strong attack character, since you can get more out of him with a normal attack damage build. Continuing the trend of guinea pig Byakuya, his strong attack 2 was the original self vortex, helping him even more under a normal attack damage build. His other 2 strong attacks deal a decent amount of damage and have about as much range as you would expect from a second year character, which is to say not that much, but good enough. All in all, I'd say that this character is a jack of all trades but master of none. You can build him in several different ways, but none of them are gonna be exceptionally good. Still, in my opinion, he is a fun character to use, and I still find myself gravitating towards him from time to time. If nothing else, he's a solid link to use for a hybrid build.
行くぞ。御意。司令。集計。確定権。
Next up, we have Tag Team Biquia. Now, I know most of you just use him as a link, and I don't blame you. He's got a strong attack damage and strong attack recharge link, and is one of the most useful links in the game. But a strong attack damage isn't the only thing his resurrection gave him. It also gave him Havoc at 20. That and his increased stats actually make him a somewhat usable character. Now don't get me wrong, his strong attack's range isn't the best. His strong attack 1 is kind of awkward to use, his strong attack 2 could be a bit wider, and his strong attack 3 is a beam shot, which isn't bad, but when it's your strong attack 3, you kinda have to line it up to make it count. And if you miss and you don't get all the characters you're wanting to get, you have to go in with the other 2 strong attacks that don't have the best range. In the end, this Byakuya is still a better link than anything else, but he's also fully capable of clearing a quest himself. And if you have him, I recommend you give him a shot. You might find that he's actually a decent character.
千景千本桜影吉王一家千人か
Next on the list is the 1000-Year Blood War version of Byakuya, the one we all wish was better. That's not to say he's bad, I actually think he's okay. But when Tag Team Byakuya does more damage with his strong attacks than you know there's a problem. That's exactly the case here. While Tag Team Byakuya's strong attacks deal more damage, Manguby Yakuya's attacks have a lot more range. His strong attack 1 is a beam shot with way more range than Tag Team Byakuya's strong attack 3's beam shot, and Manguby Yakuya's strong attack 3 is beyond full screen. Then we have his strong attack 2, that is the original barrier move. Seriously, this guy has the first of almost everything. Now, having a barrier move is great, of course, but his actually has a 160 mag, so at close range it can actually deal a lot of damage. Now, unfortunately, this character does not have Frenzy, which is what really holds him back. He has Berserker at 40% and Bruiser at 30%, and his normal attack while being ranged isn't piercing, which is also kind of a bummer. He does have a full stamina damage link of 20%, so at full health his strong attacks will deal 60% more damage, and his normal attacks will deal 50% more damage, though that increase will go away as soon as he gets hit. Finally, we have his special, which is actually really good. Like everything else, it does 20% more damage if his health is full, and he's got Bombardment. On top of that, he also inflicts weakened defense, so it's actually an incredible special. I do wish he was better, but I'm also not gonna be one of those people who say he's terrible, because I do a lot of rewinds and I've seen terrible, and he isn't that.
属州に習うのも務め我が教示見せてやろう
Now this is kind of a weird one. I should note I have every Byakuya on this list, and before recording this I actually tested them all out. To my surprise, this Byakuya was actually better than Manguby Yakuya, which definitely needs to be fixed when Manguby Yakuya gets resurrected, but until then, this is how it is. White Tip Byakuya has a higher SP and he has Frenzy, not to mention a strong attack recharge link. He's also got Havoc at 20, though his strong attacks aren't nearly as wide reaching as Manguby Yakuya's, but they definitely do more damage. His strong attack 1 is a beam shot, his strong attack 2 hits the enemies directly in front of him, and his strong attack 3 just has decent range. I mean, it's not really even close to full screen, but it is decent enough for a strong attack. And you'll find that his set of strong attacks can actually clear a quest in decent time. Then we have his normal attack. That's actually not terrible. Since he is a resurrected character, his attack has that boost, and he's got a plus 30 bruiser. Finally, there's his special. It may not be full screen, but it does inflict debilitating paralysis. It does feel super weird to put this character above Manguby Yakuya, but I did take them both on Inheritance Zone before I made this list, and White Day Byakuya was actually better to use. I guess what I'm saying is, Manga Round 1 Resurrections better come soon.
口利け時期通したるこの私が相手になろう波動の33総括水
Coming in at number 4 is the kid version of Byakuya. This Byakuya has a really high SP as well as Frenzy, and he's got a Havoc at 20, so his strong attacks reach a wider area. He's also got a strong attack recharge link, so he's able to spam these strong attacks. His strong attack 1 is a lunge move, his strong attack 3 is a beyond full screen move, but his strong attack 2 is a static vortex move. That admittedly does make him a bit slower, but it also has its merits, since trapping enemies in vortexes is good when going up against bosses, and his in particular can inflict debilitating burn. This is not only really good against bosses, but against enemies who have a lot of health, and those who can resist melee attacks. Now his other strong attacks, his special and his normal attack can all inflict debilitating lacerate. His strong attack 2 is the only one that can inflict debilitating burn. In addition to dealing lacerate, his special is also able to inflict weakened defense, allowing Byakuya and anyone else to deal more damage to enemies that survive a special. Finally, we have his killer. It's no affiliation, and while it may not be as common, at this point it's not really an issue. A Soul Reaper, Hollow, or a Rankar killer would be better, but I'm not really deducting any points for having a no affiliation killer, since we see it pop up all the time now.
その命よほどいらぬと見える何をしている行くぞ
In at number 3 is the Cacao Society version of Byakuya, who also has a really high SP, Frenzy, and a strong attack recharge link that lets him spam his strong attacks, and you definitely want to with this guy. All of his attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating paralysis, and his strong attack 2 has a 160% mag. This means that if an enemy is paralyzed and you're at close range, his strong attack 2 will deal a massive amount of damage, making him really good for taking out bosses, or just a high number of enemies that are difficult to take out. His other strong attacks are also good. His strong attack 1 is a lunge move, and his strong attack 3 is a full screen move. Now not only can he paralyze with all of his attacks, but he's also completely immune to paralysis himself, which is just a bonus with this character. There's honestly not much more I can say about him. He's just a really solid PvE character.
我らの誇りを汚した罪、その身ごとてあがなえると思う。
Now on this list, we've seen some really bad characters, some okay characters, and some pretty good characters. But the last two are on a whole other level, to the point where they are some of the best characters in the game. Let's start with the Spirit Society version of Byakuya. He's got a really high SP and Frenzy. He's also got a strong attack recharge link, Havoc at 20, Berserker at 20, and the ability to inflict freeze on all of his attacks. Now a great percentage of this list so far has been characters with Havoc, which increases the range of your strong attacks. But in no character is it more apparent than this Byakuya, since all three of his strong attacks have insane range. His strong attack 3 is beyond full screen, his strong attack 2 might as well be a strong attack 3, since its range is pretty close to it, and his strong attack 1 is a beam shot that decimates everything in front of him. Because of his abilities, he can spam these attacks and they hit incredibly hard, not only because he has the highest SP out of anyone on the list so far, but also because he has the additional help of the Berserker at 20, potentially making him the fastest character on this list. To top things off, he's got a Soul Reaper killer, which is the best killer you can have, and he's completely immune to being poisoned, which honestly wasn't even really necessary for him to be at number 2.
我が剣筋、刑に見切ることなど叶わぬ。
Finally, at number 1, we have the 5th anniversary version of Byakuya, who is absolutely insane. Not only does he have the highest SP out of anyone on this list, but he's also got Berserker at 40% and Frenzy, so his strong attacks are gonna pack a punch. On top of that, he's also got a boosted 14% strong attack recharge link, and you can bet he puts it to good use. His strong attack 1 fires swords at the enemies, his strong attack 3 is a hybrid vortex move, but his strong attack 2 is his bread and butter. It is yet another example of a guinea pig Byakuya, except this one went tremendously right, as it summons a 2-part seeking vortex move. The first part hits the enemies hard, and the second part summons a 5-second vortex move that tracks down enemies and takes them out. With a full recharge build, this attack comes back after 7 seconds, and since the vortex lasts 5, you only really have to wait 2 seconds to use it again. This vortex is basically the ultimate weapon in guild quests, and an unbelievably useful asset when autoing, not to mention when just in regular PvE. But it doesn't stop there. On top of that 40 Berserker, he also has a plus 40 Bruiser, letting his normal attacks deal a good amount of damage as well. His Byakuya also has the Sharpshooter ability, which is essentially the combination of nullify ranged resistances and guard break, meaning there's almost nowhere you can't take him. But wait, there's more! This Byakuya also has 2 killers, that of Soul Reaper and Hollow, basically doubling the areas he's super effective in, and in combination with that Sharpshooter ability, it means he's useful in a vast number of guild quests. Now finally, to top everything off, he's also the first character in a very long time to have both Frenzy and Bombardment, meaning his special hits with twice the power. All of this make him one of the most, if not the most sought after character in the entire game, since there's basically nowhere he doesn't excel at, except PvP. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more top 10 lists.